Bonjour, 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 and welcome back to my channel, The Waves of Your Soul. Today's video is going to be all about my favorite pairings of 2023, my favorite tarot and oracle deck pairings that I discovered this year that I really enjoyed using, really added another layer to my readings and my practice. So I'm not a huge deck pairer, I definitely do not pair every single oracle and tarot I use. When I buy a tarot or an oracle deck, I don't even really consider, will this pair nice with this deck I have, or would this pair nice with that oracle deck I have? Pairing is something I enjoyed, but it's not something that is regular and mandatory in my practice at all. That being said, this year I discovered some oracle and tarot pairings that really enchanted me, that really brought something of value to my practice and my readings, and that I wanted to share with you today. So if you're new here, hi, my name is Marine, I'm a French tarot reader. It's such a pleasure to have you on my channel. I love talking about tarot and oracle decks. I also love reading the cards. It's my passion, it's what makes me feel the most alive. So if you'd like to see any of that on your timeline, make sure to subscribe. And if you're curious about any decks I'm mentioning or anything like that, then check out the description box. You're gonna find everything you need to know, all of my other social media links, other videos of mine. At the moment of me filming this, we are gearing towards the end of the year. There's a ton of content coming on this channel. I'm trying to make this end of the year the most magical for all of us, because let's be real, this year has been another trash can on fire for the books. We've all felt it, and I've been working really hard behind the scene to try and make the most content possible for you guys. We can cultivate a little space of happiness and good mood vibes within this little corner of the internet, and hopefully it will make the holidays a little bit more magical for all of us. And without further ado, let's check out my favorite pairings of 2023. Okay, so let's start with the pairing that I've used the most throughout the year, that really clicked very early on in the year and that I haven't really been able to stop using. And that's because I discovered this pairing as part of a ongoing work I was doing, like introspection work I was doing for myself. So we have the Reclaim Oracle, which is right here. This is an indie deck, very well-known deck in the community. I'm sure you've seen it a lot, but if not, you're in for a treat. And the tarot that I've been pairing with it all year, that truly for me matches the energy of the Reclaim so well, is the Many Queens Tarot, which will be on the right. And the Many Queens Tarot is another indie deck, this time by, of course, all the links to those decks will be down below, so you can make sure, especially for indie decks, that you purchase them directly from the creators, so that you're sure to not get fakes, because that's definitely been a rampant problem of 2023 and before, all the fakes that have been flooding the market. It's very disheartening, but anyway, so, and that's why I always make sure in my videos when I show indie decks and stuff to give you links that where you can get decks that are legit. The Reclaim Oracle and the Many Queens Tarot have been the best pairing for me. Honestly, this is top one pairing of 2023 for me, because it's the one that made the most sense and it's the one that made the most impact on my practice. So the reason why I love this so much, look, Integrity, Queen of Cups. Already I'm in love. The reason why those two go so well together, and look, Seven of Cups, Powerlessness. I can't make this up, just I'm gonna be talking, but obviously you guys can enjoy the synchronicities between those two. The way I've discovered this particular pairing is because earlier this year I decided to go on a really deep dive of the Reclaim Oracle, and I was pulling one card at a time, putting that card aside and creating a tarot spread dedicated to the theme of that particular card. So if I was putting security, I was creating for myself an individual tarot spread around the idea of security. And in order to fulfill this particular tarot spread, I discovered that using the Many Queens Tarot was just so brilliant. Like those two together, obviously aesthetically, the idea of like pared down colors, monochromatic vibes, even though this is more flesh pink than white, I think aesthetically they go really well together, but the core of what they are in their healing sense, in the sense of like embodiment of being at ease with yourself, with your soul, with your body, with your person in general, with your whole being, is something that is integral to both the Many Queens and the Reclaim. And for that reason, I think that they speak the same speak, they have the same language. For that particular practice, every time I had finished doing one card of the Reclaim, I was putting it on the side, and the idea originally was that I was gonna do that for all cards, do a tarot spread and a deep, and like journaling and all of that. But there are 88 cards, and I'm not gonna lie, I got halfway through and I started to tire. I was just so much journaling. I mean, I did that for about 4 or 5 months because I wasn't doing it every day. There was a lot of journaling involved, a lot of like introspective work, and it was great, but it was also a lot. And I got to a point where I was struggling physically, because if you're not aware, I navigate the waters of chronic pain, chronic illness. So about mid-year, there was a lot of flare-ups, a lot of injuries, and that kind of like affected my practice in a way. I couldn't really sit up to write as much anymore. First of all, like I wasn't physically able to do that. My mind wasn't necessarily in the best place to think about creating a tarot spread and look and do all the shadow work and all of that. So I put that aside with the intention of revisiting one day, because I really want to get through all 88 cards at some point and finish this particular work. I'm very much grateful for this particular pairing, this particular practice I had developed, and for everything it's taught me already. So the Reclaim Oracle paired with the Many Queens, two amazing decks, two decks that have, I think, a strong voice, that I think carry also a strong message of self-empowerment, of self-expression, and also of shining your light unapologetically, which I think they both embody very well. So that's my first pairing, and honestly probably my favorite pairing. The second pairing I wanted to share with you today, it's another tarot and oracle pairing. This time it's more so for the aesthetic quality of it and the feel that they both belong in the same world, even though they're not made by the same artist. And we have the Tarot by Caro. This was on my favorite tarot deck list for 2022. That's how much I love it. It was in my top 10. It's beautiful. It has representation. It has a strong aesthetic point of view, like you recognize this artist anywhere. And the oracle I've discovered I love pairing with it, even though technically they could feel very different, is the Heart's Eye Oracle by Olivia Rose. I know that she has a tarot deck that came out this year that I've not been able to pick up yet because it's just not available where I live, but I definitely want to buy it as soon as I'm able to. I've lost the name of the tarot deck now, it escapes me, but it's by Olivia Rose. It's from US Game, I believe, and it looks amazing. So if you like this particular artwork and you can't get your hands on the oracle, because I don't know if it's still in print or not, then definitely check out her tarot. So again, for me, the reason why I've paired those two decks and why I've enjoyed them so much together is that they speak the same speak, and that they feel like they belong in the same world, even though the artwork is super, super different. Look, 10 of Swords and Hope. We love to see it. The artwork is very different. Like, obviously, this is a lot more fae-like. With the Heart's Eye Oracle, you'll see Olivia Rose's artwork is so stunning, and it's very beautiful, and it's very, like, magical. We see some fae, feels a lot more fantasy inspired. This one is a RWS inspired tarot deck that feels maybe more timeless. I wouldn't say the Tarot by Caro feels like there's fantasy inspiration or anything. The people look like people. There's not like fairies or things like that, but together they just sing a very particular beautiful voice. And as you can see, for every single card I've pulled, they just speak the same speak, like Nine of Cups and Imagination. I really love that together. The Ace of Pentacles with Reconnect. I love this idea, like reconnecting to our roots, reconnecting to the ground, using the Ace of Pentacles as an invitation to come back to our body. So cool. With the Page of Cups, Tranquility. See, I can't make this up. So the reason why those two are perfect pairings is honestly because they match. And even though that might not be a visual match, I still think they look really good together. Like, I like the contrast black and white. They're both really colorful decks. There is something deeper than that that goes beyond the aesthetic vibe, which is a lot more around how they speak to each other. So that's why I've really enjoyed this particular pairing. I think they go really well together. The Wheel of Fortune with Patience Yeah, the wheel weaves as the wheel wills. For sure, patience is needed when we see the Wheel of Fortune. Five of Swords and Embrace. I think that's interesting, especially considering this being looks like they're crying. So why are they crying? Is it because of something they regret doing? Is it that they need to embrace their past, or embrace their mistakes, or embrace their failures? There's a lot to dive into in every single pairing I've done with this deck, and I've just really enjoyed the energy of those two together. So I wanted to share this one with you today. Next up in my favorite pairings of 2023, I have a pairing that actually matches two tarot decks together. And I think those two tarot decks belong in the same world and speak to each other so well because they're both mean. They're both rude. They both have the audacity to call me out on my shit. And that's why they belong together. But don't worry, I love them. And this is actually a sign of quality. The first deck of this pairing is the Pulp Tarot. It looks like this. It's super cool. It was quickly evident that it was meant to be with this other tarot deck, which is the Zombie Tarot. So the Zombie Tarot looks like this. It's a mass market deck. It is by Stacey Graham and Headcase Design. And this is an oldie but a goodie. It's been out for quite a few years. We have on the right the Zombie Tarot, which is, you know, very horror themed / fun. And on the left, the Pulp Tarot is, as the name suggests, inspired by pulp magazine covers. So those two decks, aesthetically first, they share the same kind of like vintage magazine vibes. Here, the Pulp Tarot, evidently, it's inspired by your pulp magazine covers and things like that, and you'll see it in the artwork. And the Zombie Tarot is also sharing those like ads for housewives and like, I would say 1950s, 1960s type of artwork. That's the vibe it's giving, but obviously with a horror theme, a zombie theme. And those two together already aesthetically speaking, there is something there that makes me feel like the Zombie Tarot could have happened in the same world of the pulp. Like when I use the pulp, I see the world as it was maybe in the 1950s, 1960s, and then the zombie apocalypse happened in that same world, and that gave birth to the Zombie Tarot. So they are almost like a continuation of each other, an apocalypse developing in front of my eyes from the same kind of world. And that already makes it super fun for me, because it's like before and after. That's how I've been kind of like playing with them. This could be the before, and this is the after. Pre-apocalypse, post-apocalypse, or even light and shadow. There's so many ways I could use those two together, and so many ways I've been like playing with them two together, that I've been truly enjoying this pairing. There's something really fun also about pairing a tarot with a tarot. I know that it can be a bit scary and daunting, especially when you're starting, to have two tarot decks together, because you're like, oh girl, one is enough, I've already got my hands full, I don't need two tarot decks together. But you know what, it's actually, I would recommend it to try it at least even once, even if you are not, even if it's something that you've been like avoiding, give it a shot, because you'll be surprised at how it can be expensive to have two tarot decks together, especially, ooh, this one jumped, what is that, High Priestess, she really wanted to be seen. Especially when you end up pulling two of the same card, like having two Knight of Wands, for example, really have to pay attention to that message. It's almost like this was the world that it was in, and then the zombies attacked and this happened, and so I can imagine that it's the same kind of people who are facing a challenge, who are facing with like a big change. And on top of that, those two decks are very cheeky. I want them to have an extremely cheeky voice. Those of you who don't personify your decks, you're gonna be like, what the fuck are you on about? For those of you who do personify your decks, you get me. Some decks are just rude and have the audacity, the gall, and the gumption to tell you what's wrong with you to your face. That's rude, but it's necessary. And those two decks definitely have the audacity. So for that reason as well, I feel like they have the same kind of sense of humor. Something funny, like haha hee hee, but here's your problem on the platter and you need to look at it. That's very much the vibe. There's a unique storyline I can weave with those two. And on top of that, they do look nice together. It's an enjoyable experience. Let's move on to another fantastic pairing. I mean, those are the top of the top. We're talking about the best pairings of this year. The criterias are high here, where I'm sharing you the best of the best, the ones that truly had a huge impact on my practice. And this particular pairing, another one that totally blew my mind. And we have Oracle médiéval et merveilleux by Gulliver l'Aventurière and Julien Miaville. This is a French mass market deck you can get on Amazon.fr. I'll put a link down below. And the tarot deck that it belongs with, and I will not be told otherwise, is the Symbolic Soul Tarot by Elisa Singer, and it's a Los Scarabeo deck, so another mass market deck, 2 mass market gems. Honestly, both of them separately are so great. I really recommend them. They're some of my favorite decks. So here we have the Oracle right here, l'Oracle médiéval et merveilleux. And here on the left we will have the tarot. Like I was saying, individually they're great. The Symbolic Soul Tarot is one of my favorite deck of the year. You'll see it very highly placed in my tarot ranking of 2023. It's just a deck I've loved using. I've used it so much that the edges are actually already showing wear, because I've used this deck to death already this year, and I've only had it for like 6 months, I think. But anyway, just proves how much I've been enjoying it. Those two together, it was almost by mistake. Like, I didn't plan on pairing them two together. One night I was playing with the Symbolic Soul Tarot, and I suddenly looked at my shelves and I was like, hold on a minute, maybe I should pull out the Oracle médiéval et merveilleux, have a look. It was at the time I was watching The Witcher, so this being a medieval inspired oracle deck, it was something I was vibing with, you know, the whole medieval fantasy. And I suddenly looked at them together and was like, oh my god, yes, absolute yes. First of all, the artwork looks really great together, because the Oracle médiéval et merveilleux only has like 3-4 kind of colors. We have black, white, and then those like rusty kind of tones. It's really pared down. And this one only has black, white, and gold. The tones of the colors and the art and the style of the artwork, they are really great together, even though again they're from different artists. On top of that, again, it's the way that they resonate and speak with each other. It's the way that they can both communicate with each other and give me a message that on their own would have been good, but together becomes great. It's like taking my readings to another level and just pushing it through another kind of layer. And pairing them together has really helped me to deepen my appreciation both for this oracle and for this tarot deck. And it's helped me also to look at certain tarot cards slightly differently. Like, there's a lot of depth in both of those. There's a lot of personality in them. This one is definitely maybe a little bit more serious, I would say. It's not as funky or quirky. This one has very quirky elements, but it remains traditional with the symbolism, with some occult references, and I think that they balance each other. Like, this one brings a little bit maybe sense of humor to this, and this one brings a little bit more gravity to this, and so together they really alchemize, and just as in Temperance card, make this perfect blend of energies of something that's very magical and very deep as well. So I love those two together. Even the backings, I think, are such a vibes together. So that's my fourth pairing that I wanted to share with you guys. My last favorite pairing of 2023 is honestly another kick-ass pairing, if I dare to say so myself. For this one on the right, we have a French oracle deck. It's called l'Oracle d'Or et Ombre. This is by Stéphanie Lafranc and Vic O. This is a mass market French oracle deck. Again, you'll find a link in the description box below. This is amazing. I've talked about it in my French deck series, I'm pretty sure. If you don't know, I do a video series on my channel where I share every single one of my French deck. I tell you how easy they are to understand, accessible they are, all of that good stuff. I can't remember if I've shared this because I've been working on several episodes of this series, so if I have, I'll leave it in the link below, the video where I cover this one, and if I haven't, I will still leave the playlist for my French deck series in the cards so that you can check out all the other French decks and discover some new cool decks you might not know of. And the one on the left is the Crimson Asteria Tarot. I always struggle to say this one, Crimson Asteria. I don't know why, there's something about this that just doesn't roll off my froggy French tongue. But this is illustrated by Pranic Forest. They've also done the Solara Occulto. That was a Kickstarter earlier this year. I backed it. I've not received it at the time of me filming this video because I had to send it to my friend in France, so she's keeping it for me and she's probably send it to me around Christmas or something. This is not necessarily the most beautiful pairing in the sense of like the same aesthetic, they look beautiful together, they feel like they belong in the same world, same color palette and all of that, because this is a very monochromatic deck. It's only reds and pinks and white, whereas this has lots of different color. But the reason why I think that they belong together, those two, and that they are so potent together, and honestly this might be one of my most potent pairings, is because both of these decks are very magical, both of these decks are very witchy, and they're very deep in the sense of bringing in occult knowledge, bringing in astrological and alchemical symbolism, alchemical concepts. In the oracle we have planets, we have alchemical animals, we have alchemical processes and the different steps. We also have different moon phases, the eclipses and all of that. So this particular oracle deck is super deep, super imbued with like esoteric knowledge, alchemical knowledge, astrological knowledge, and this particular aura tarot deck is also very infused with all of that, but in a more subtle way. Like, you don't need to have all of that knowledge to enjoy this deck because it follows the RWS, so it's very easy to read. You don't need to notice like the different alchemical symbols and things like that. But if you do notice the different subtleties here and there, and if you do pair it with a deck like this, for example, which is very much focused around alchemy as a way of personal transformation, personal development, and occult knowledge and all of that, then it just brings the reading to another layer, which is super potent and super deep. So I've loved pairing those two together. Again, not necessarily because physically they look the best. I mean, it's not ugly. I feel like they look really good. It's white background on both. I think the fact that there's things here and things here, it looks nice. But it's more so for the depth of the readings I can get. The writing in this particular oracle deck is so great. I can't tell you enough how much potent it is, how magical it is. It feels very transformative and it feels very witchy. I'll leave it at that. So I've been really enjoying those two together. They feel like they match in energy. They feel like they match in intention, in depth. Pairing I've absolutely loved, especially around times when I've been wanting to work with a specific moon or a specific eclipse. For example, eclipse season, this was really great. And this is the special card in the deck. I think was just in the Kickstarter edition, so I don't know if you can still get this particular card. You can get the deck, I don't know if you can get the card, but come on, we can still appreciate it. Like, how beautiful is this Medusa? One of the best pairing I encountered, again, pure chance, when I was playing with my decks one evening, and I'm so glad I did. Here we are. Those were my favorite tarot pairings of 2023. We had tarot and oracle, tarot and tarot. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it was useful and interesting to find out why I've discovered that they pair together and why pairing is something that for me is a cherry on the cake, but definitely not the cake itself. If you would like in the comments to let me know what your favorite pairings of the year have been, or the recent pairings you've been using, or even just the recent decks you've been enjoying, then let me know in the comments. I hope you've also been enjoying the content, all the content that's been coming on my channel for the end of the year. I've been working really hard behind the scenes for the last couple of months to try and create as much content as possible for the holidays, because I really wanted to give you this present of like having fun videos to watch, of how cultivating a space of joy and that you could potentially escape to. And until my next video, I'm sending you so much good vibes. Take care of yourself and keep navigating the webs of your soul. Bye!